Hello everyone, today we present our research paper, Socrates, Data Story Generation via Adaptive Machine-Guided Elicitation of User Feedback. Data storytelling has emerged as a powerful medium for conveying insights, articulating opinions, and aiding decision-making. Such stories are often composed of data facts represented through visualizations. A prime example is the visual storytelling found in the graphic section of the New York Times. The creation of an effective data story generally involves three main steps: querying large datasets, discovering and visualizing insightful patterns, and organizing these insights into a cohesive narrative. Unfortunately, these steps can be challenging for novice users. Several research works exist to simplify this process. Calliope, developed by Tongji University, automatically generates data stories. Other examples include Erito, which offers flexibility in editing, and Data Clios for video-based storytelling. However, these tools have their shortcomings. For instance, Calliope lacks flexibility, making it hard to adjust stories. Erito, on the other hand, may be difficult for novice users to use. To address these issues, we introduce Socrates. Our approach facilitates data story generation by adaptively guiding the user through a conversational process. We focus on minimizing the number of questions asked, aiming to make the process more efficient and user-friendly. To understand the specific needs of users, we first conducted a formative study. This involved an in-depth literature review as well as pilot interviews with experts in the field. We found that user needs can be broadly categorized into two areas: the need for specific data content and the need for a particular narrative structure. These insights served as foundational guidelines for the design and functionality of Socrates. Additionally, we engaged in a deeper qualitative analysis by interviewing 3 domain experts. To simulate the user experience, we also conducted a Wizard of Oz study, in which we acted as the conversational agents. This allowed us to collect nuanced user feedback and understand their preferences for data story design. By synthesizing insights from both the literature review and expert interviews, we were able to distill 3 critical design guidelines that have been instrumental in shaping our methodology. Based on the design guidelines we derived, we created Socrates as a solution that strikes a balance between automation and user control. The system is engineered to adaptively propose questions, giving users a say in shaping the final data story. These questions are formulated based on a pool of candidate stories, each generated with different initial parameters to accommodate varied user preferences. User feedback is then applied to filter this pool, ensuring that the output is both relevant and insightful. We model the user's diverse needs as the facets. The term is adapted from the information retrieval community and refers to specific, definable, and categorizable aspects or dimensions of information. In the context of Socrates, facets serve a similar role but for data stories. They categorize user needs into different dimensions, such as the data entities involved, the data dimensions they are plotted against, and the narrative structures that are employed. By defining a set L of these facets, and by gathering user feedback on these facets, we can effectively compute an alignment score. This score tells us how well each generated data story aligns with the user's needs. To identify the most fitting data stories, we use the concept of a Pareto frontier, an idea in the multi-objective optimization. For those less familiar, a Pareto frontier identifies a set of best compromised solutions when you have multiple conflicting objectives. In the figure we present, each dot represents an individual data story, evaluated on different facets. Some may excel in one facet but fall short in others. Points on the Pareto frontier, highlighted in orange, represent data stories that offer the most balanced trade-offs across all considered facets. In other words, these are the stories that are optimal and cannot be improved upon without sacrificing performance in another facet. Utilizing the Pareto frontier as our basis, we engage users in a guided, iterative process to zero in on their preferred data stories. Our system proposes questions that focus on different facets, asking users to make comparisons or express preferences. When a user answers these questions, the facets considered less important are effectively eliminated or down-prioritized, leading to a revision of the Pareto frontier. This updated frontier serves as the foundation for generating new sets of questions, thereby steering the system and user closer to a mutually agreeable, optimal data story. In every iteration, we rely on two key factors to formulate the next question: the user feedback gathered so far, and the existing Pareto frontier. Our question set spans diverse combinations of facets, so each question can correspond to one or multiple facets. Answers to these questions help to refine the Pareto frontier by eliminating less optimal data stories. Accordingly, we choose the question that is expected to most effectively reduce the size of the Pareto frontier once the user responds. Socrates supports various question types, like rating, comparison, and multiple choice, to enhance user engagement and experience. In conclusion, Socrates functions as a versatile plug-in module, compatible with various story generation backends and adaptable to different story formats and facets. Utilizing an adaptive questionnaire approach, Socrates efficiently selects the most informative questions, thereby optimizing user interaction time. To evaluate Socrates, we conducted a user study on Socrates' prototype system with 18 participants. We focused on two primary hypotheses. H1. Socrates generates data stories with better quantitative ratings compared to prior weight fine-tuning approaches. H2. Socrates better reflects the user's feedback and generates a data story with greater similarity to manually user-created stories. Each participant was presented with a sales dataset. After introducing the dataset and outlining the task, participants were instructed to create 3 reference data stories to capture their unique preferences. Following this, participants interacted with both Socrates and a baseline system to generate data stories. These generated stories were then compared and presented back to the user for evaluation. To validate our first hypothesis, participants were asked to complete a subjective evaluation form that covered aspects like comprehensibility, engagement, insightfulness, logicality, and relevance. Our results indicate a statistically significant advantage for Socrates, particularly in the area of relevance. To validate our second hypothesis, we utilized an objective evaluation method adapted from the BLEU score. We calculated the overlap between the stories generated by Socrates and the 3 reference stories initially created by the users. For each reference story, we individually computed the F1 score to measure this overlap. Then, we grouped all the F1 scores to determine the maximum F1 value among the reference stories. Through a White-Whitney test, we found that the stories generated by Socrates were significantly more aligned with the user-created stories, confirming the effectiveness of our approach. A prototype demo video is followed. When the user opens the system, the fact library and the first question will be presented. Then the user can choose their answer to the machine-proposed questions. The question answer continues until the system can generate a satisfying data story, which is then presented in the story preview. The user can further refine the data story by the fact library, story flow, and preview. Thanks for the attention.